Christy. Welcome to card 8 in my 2016 Valentine series. Today I'm going to be using this stinkin' cute set by Valentine and the We Go Together 6x6 by Pebbles. And I wanted to talk about pattern paper today. I get a lot of questions on my channel about how I choose the papers that I use on cards, and I thought I would just talk you through a little bit of that today. So when choosing my pattern papers, I want to pick out a couple that are more monochromatic or have more subtle patterns, and then I try to choose one that has a larger and more colorful pattern that will incorporate the colors in the other papers that I choose. So for today's card, I'll be using 4 different patterns. And so the floral print that you see there is the larger, bolder print that incorporates a couple of the colors in the patterns that I've chosen. And then the red print is the monochromatic, and then the one with the little paper airplanes and the arrows are my 2 subtle prints. If you're struggling for a design to use, sketches are always a good place to start. I found this one by Googling sketches, but you can also find tons of them on Pinterest. And really they're just a jumping off point. You can go anywhere from there. For today's card, I'm going to be flipping the sketch on its side a little bit. So I'm going to start with my background pattern that will be adhered to the back, and then I need a focal panel for the front. So I die cut some white Spectrum Noir cardstock from the Lawn Fawn Stitch journaling card die, but you can see it's too big. If I were to use that full panel, it would cover up almost all of the additional pattern papers. So what I'm going to do is take my die and just slide it into the little stitching marks onto the side and tape that into place a little bit lower, so that I can cut off the top portion of that die, and that will give me a smaller panel that will fit better on my card. So now that that panel is the correct size, I can go ahead and stamp out my image and sentiment. I'm just making sure that they're still all going to fit, but then once I know, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Tuxedo Black Memento ink, because I'm going to be coloring with Copics, and I'm going to ink up the little skunk and just press it down into place. And then I'm going to grab my Lawn Fawn Lobster ink, and I'm going to ink up the stinkin' part of the sentiment and just stamp that out. And then I'll switch back to my Memento to stamp out the other 2 words that are in the sentiment. So, as you know, if you've been watching this series, I've been making all the cards for the Cards from the Heart card drive, which benefits the children at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. That challenge is over. The deadline was January 30th because my friend Winter, who runs it, needed the cards in order to be able to divide them up and send them out to the hospital in time so that the kids can get them for Valentine's Day. So for the remainder of this series, I will be creating cards and just stockpiling them for next year. This is a card drive that I'm really passionate about, and it's really important to me to create as many cards as possible, and so it doesn't bother me one bit to go ahead and start creating cards for next year, because I know these things come up quickly. You know, it comes right after the holidays especially, and after the other card drive that I participated in, the Caring Hearts card drive over the Christmas season. So I'm just going to continue making them for the rest of the time until Valentine's Day, and just put them in a box for next year. The sad and unfortunate reality is that there will still be sick children next year who need these cards to brighten their day, so it's all for them. So on to the coloring. You can see that I've laid out my marker caps for you there. I began with W5, and then I laid in some shadows with the W7 and deepened those with the W9. And now I'm just going back in reverse order over those to blend out the color and just make a smooth transition so that he's really brought to life. This stamp set by Lawn Fawn was a special release for Black Friday. He was a free gift with a purchase of a certain amount. So if you haven't been able to get your hands on him, I know that he is going to be released in the coming future, not too distant future, so just keep your eye out for him. I think he's super cute. For the white portion of his body, I'm using W1 and W3. I'm imagining that my light source is coming full on, so I'm keeping the center portion as the lightest part of his body, and I'm shading all around the outer edges, just beginning with the W1, darkening with the W3, and then blending back out with the W1 again. And then I'll even grab my colorless blender and go over the center portion of that to lighten that up and keep it nice and bright. I'll grab my R20 to color in his ears. And then I decided to go ahead and give him a little bit of a rosy cheek as well. And then I wanted to give him a little grass to stand on, but since I've already got 4 different pattern papers, I didn't want to introduce any new shades that would make it busy. So I grabbed my piece of pattern paper and I just matched that to my Copic color chart to choose some kind of bluish greens that would match very well with that pattern paper. So I chose the G03 and the G00, and I'm just going to go in with the darker shade and lay it in as I would a shadow, and then blend it out with the G00 until it kind of fades off on the edge. And then I actually decided to grab my G quadruple 0, which has a lot of colorless blender in it, and just blend that out even further. So I thought it also might be cute to stamp a little trail of hearts using the tiny little heart from his set. So I grabbed my Lawn Fawn lobster ink and just stamped that out 3 times. This ink is great for 2nd and 3rd generation stamping. To assemble our card, I've got a piece of W+9's Cupid's Bow cardstock cut and folded to a standard size card. And then I'm just referring back to that sketch again to go ahead and adhere my pattern papers. So I'm going to glue down my back panel with some Tombow Mono multi-glue so that I can get that straight and have a little time to get that perfectly in place. And then I'm going to start adhering these strips, which I've cut into banners to match the sketch that we had. So I'm just going to adhere this one close to the left side. I'll smooth that out. I'm going to leave a small gap between the first pattern paper and this one. At first I thought I'd adhere them side by side, but I didn't like the way that looked, so I just moved that one over just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab the red one and I'm going to adhere that over top in the center, just up a little bit. And I'm using the centers of the little triangle of the banner cutout to line the ends of that piece out. And then I'm just going to flip it over and cut off the excess. And then I'll just grab my focal panel, which I have attached some foam tape to the back of. So I'll just go ahead and peel off the tape. And then I'm going to center that and press that into place. And then just referring back to that sketch, you can see that we flipped the card and the banners all to the vertical, but we kept the focal panel also in the vertical position. The only thing missing from the sketch was that little flower on the focal panel, so I just went ahead and trimmed one out from a scrap from that bottom pattern paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that with some more Tombow Mono right near the sentiment where it is on the sketch. And that's going to complete our card for today. I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you missed my last video, you can go ahead and click the little annotation for you that's on the screen. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you like. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.